Ballshot62 here, and I am back for the moment with a Sinnoh Pokemon tier list. I wanted to do something kind of chill because it's been a very stressful past few days. Uh, today we're just doing a Pokemon ranking because that's pretty easy, especially since it's my favorite Pokemon generation, Generation 4. Now, don't worry, Hi-Fi Rush fans, I have not forgotten about you. My next stream, I am planning to do Hi-Fi Rush. It's just I really wanted something relatively simple and straightforward that I wouldn't have to stress about too much. Um, Also, there I might be in the works of getting me set up to stream on both Twitch and YouTube simultaneously. I wasn't able to get that set up for this session, but maybe the first Hi-Fi Rush video will be on there. Dot dot dot. Anyway, on to the actual ranking. I got the usual tiers: excellent, great, decent, mid, and bad. And we've got the Pokemon of Sinnoh. Alright, let me just double check that all my video stuff is going well. The audio's pretty decent. Alright, it all seems to be working correctly. So let's get on to the tier lists. First up, we have the Turtwig line, and this is a pretty easy Torterra, Turtwig, Grotle. Torterra is just a really amazing Pokemon. It's one of my personal favorites of all time. Turtwig is adorable, and Grotle is a bit awkward. It's still a pretty decent design, I'd say. Just as the awkward middle stage thing going on. Chimchar, another line where all the Pokemon in it are pretty good. Personally, though, Infernape is even better than Torterra. These are two of the greatest starter Pokemon in all of existence, in my personal opinion. Then we got Chimchar moving on. Chimchar is going to go a bit above Turtwig, but they're both in about similar standing as well. These two are always in very close contention for me. I've always liked Infernape a little bit more, uh, and Monferno just rounds out the whole line as being pretty. We'll put it down at great. I think if it was separate from Infernape and Chimchar, I wouldn't care about it as much. But yeah, it's still a really great design. If there was anything which were to definitely push the Infernape line over the Torterra line, it would be Monferno over Grotle. Next is Piplup, Empoleon, and Prinplup. We've got Empoleon, which has a pretty great design, I'd say. Um, it's definitely my least favorite of the starters from Sinnoh. Um, but it's still pretty decently cool. There's some awkward parts about it, but nothing really too bad. Piplup is pretty cute. Um, yeah, I'd say it's a pretty great design in terms of how cute it is. Prinplup, though, is bad. This is too awkward to work here. Just especially with the weird head things that's got going on here. The rest of the design is probably fine. It's just that whole thing that's going on does not work. It does not work. Starly line. Staraptor is an obvious excellent. Uh, if anyone disagrees, I don't know if you've ever played Sinnoh. That's just how it is. Staravia is pretty decent. Uh, it's kind of like whatever most of the time, but I think I'm a bit biased just because the Diamond and Pearl anime was the one I watched a lot, and a lot of those episodes he had a Staravia, not a Staraptor. And then Starly is pretty okay. We'll we'll put it there. Bidoof is surprise surprise if you've ever seen my logo. Bidoof is also one of my favorite Pokemon of all time. I think it's already really cute, but also the memes around Bidoof are actually funny in my opinion, and and I really like the character in Mystery Dungeon. I think Bidoof has the best character in Mystery Dungeon, at least in the Explorers of Time, Sky, and Darkness games. Yeah, I really like Bidoof. The barrel though is not good. Uh, it's it it is trying, I guess. Just as a really weird face most of the time. Uh, if it were a bit less awkward, then maybe it would be higher. But as it stands, I can't really place it any higher than that. Cricketune has a pretty great design, actually. Pretty underrated design, in my opinion. No one really talks about it, but I like it. And Cricketot is pretty cute as it is, so I'll go ahead and let's go top of mid, I think. Shinx, Luxio, Luxray. Luxray is obviously an amazing Pokemon. I'd personally put it above Staraptor, probably. It's really cool. The only really nitpicks that I have about it are the little like weird parts where it's not covered by hair, but I think the design works well enough that it's fine in that placement. Um, I'd say that Shinx is also a pretty great design. Uh, Probably like there in my opinion. Well, we'll go there. Yeah, I think we'll go there. And Luxio as well will also be somewhere up there. I think that's a pretty good placement for them. Shinx is really cute. Luxio is the awkward middle stage, but I think it works out well enough. And Luxray is amazing. That all makes sense to me. I of course it does. It's my tier list, but whatever. Um, Badu is pretty mid. I don't understand why there are so many baby Pokemon, especially in this generation. That's probably the weakest part of this generation's overall Pokedex. Um, but yeah, it's kind of whatever. Roserade, though, is really cool. I like it. I wish I used it more. I will definitely be using it during some playthrough of Sinnoh on this channel, whether that be Diamond, Pearl, or Platinum. Um, yeah, I don't think there's anything to say about it. I don't think that many people will disagree there. Roserade can go on the bottom. Actually, I really like these baby Pokemon. I feel like they keep getting shoved to the back just because they're not fully evolved and don't have as much detail. Roserade is good, but I really like how cute these two Pokemon are. Cranidos and Rampardos. Um, Cranidos can go towards the top of decent. I don't think it's that deserving of being called great. I'm gonna try to underrate some of these Pokemon from where they should probably be placed. I might like Cranidos enough for it to be great, but if I do stuff like that, then this list will be so top heavy. Uh, I feel like it. I feel like I should at least try to keep it somewhat partial. Impartial rather. I think so. Rampardos is indeed just a great design overall. It's really cool, and I like the colors. I like that. I like the overall design of it. I like its attitude, kind of. I don't know if attitude's the right word, but I like the attitude that its posture implies. And Shieldon is. I'd say Shieldon is better than Cranidos, but Bastiodon is worse than Rampardos. In fact, I say Bastiodon is the worst, probably, of the four fossils. No, I think Shieldon works really well and is kind of cute, whereas Shieldon is a bit ugly. But overall, it's cool. It's just a little bit ugly on top of that, which is just enough for me to bring it down some. That being said, I do still really like the design. The Burmese and Wormadams. Man, I do not really care about these Pokemon. Uh, there did not need to be three of them. Uh, this one looks like pizza, though, so you can go there. But otherwise, yeah. There should not be three of them. There does not have to be three of them. Uh, yeah. And Mothim is cooler, but still not all that great. It's very forgettable a lot of the time. Combee and Vespiquen. Combee is pretty cute, all things considered. I like its design, actually, quite a bit. And I wish that Melcombee got some things that you would have some sort of incentive to use Combee more often, because right now you only really use Combee if you want Vespiquen, which isn't that great to begin with. So I wish the male version had something at least different, so that you'd have more reason to do the honey tree stuff and find these cute little guys. That being said, Vespiquen is indeed really cool. And I do wish it was somewhat better so that I would have more incentive to use it, as well as other people. How are we doing? We're doing pretty well. Oh. Well, I'm not doing you today. That'll be for another video. Is there anything else I can skip out on? I think we're good. I don't know why these two are here. There's no other special forms of anything. Whatever. Those will be for another day. Pachirisu. It's pretty cute. I don't know if it's my favorite of the Pikachu clones. It's probably not. It's probably a Molga. Just because electric flying is kind of unique. Pachirisu's cute. Yeah, I'll put it like there. I think that works. Weasel and Floatzel. I think that Weasel is pretty solid. Nothing that special, but you know it works. Its design works. Floatzel is really cool. Doesn't really gain that much, all things considered, but I still think it is quite a solid design. Cherubi and the two Cherim forms. Cherubi is cute, but otherwise, I'm indifferent. This version of Cherim's kind of meh. This one is just really forgettable. Still probably better than these. I'm going to move the barrel up some. I still like the barrel just because it's tied to Bidoof. It's just extremely disappointing evolution. The Shelosses and Gastrodons. I'm going to put the Shelosses somewhere down here in decent as well. I think that works. I like this one a bit more overall. And the same with the Gastrodons, which are cool designs, but ones that I don't have any particular connection to. I like the East Sea one more. But beyond that, I don't really have any say about them. Hold on one second. Alright, I'm back. Ambipom is okay. I like it. Kinda. I don't know. It's not that interesting. Just kinda whatever. Drifloon and Drifblim. I think Drifloon is pretty cute. Surprisingly, despite the the lore implications from the Pokedex. And Drifblim is decently cool. I don't have any particular inclination to use it ever, but I wouldn't be opposed. You know. Baneri and Lopunny. Baneri is kind of cute. Nothing to write home about though. Lopunny, I am so sorry for what the internet has done to you. You did not deserve that. You're a pretty decent design, and I wish you were treated better. Mismagius, it's alright. I have no real inclination to want to use one, just like with Drifblim. But it's pretty cool. I like how it expounds on Mismagius. Or Mischievous. Honchkrow is alright. I was never as big of a fan as a lot of people are, but it's still decently solid. Glameow is kind of whatever. And Perugly is bad. Glameow is just like, it's a cat. You know, there's not really much else that you even could expand upon with that. And Glameow, Perugly is just an ugly cat. I have no real connection to this thing, and I don't really like its design. Chingling, I don't know why you were made. See, like you're a baby Pokemon for a Pokemon that wasn't good to begin with. We all know that's not good. Let's just move on. Stunky is, man, okay design. Um, Probably worse than Glamio and Mothim. Skuntank, similarly, I feel to similarly as how I feel to Perugly. It's it's just ugly. Like it just I have no reason to use it because of that. Uh, like there's even a better poison dark type in this generation if I want to use that specific typing. And we'll get to that later, but I'm sure you guys can already see it. um, Bronzong is whatever. It's kind of annoying to fight, but I mean, I don't really have anything against the design. It's just mediocre. Bronzong is a bit better, but nothing special. Um, Bonsly, whichever. Oh, this is a triple whopper with the babies. It's just Bonsly's fine. It's whatever. Uh, Mime Jr. is bad, and Happiny is very mediocre. Uh, yeah. Chatot, I definitely have Mystery Dungeon bias for. Um, Plus, I think Chatter is really funny. Um, but, eh. It's like, whatever. Maybe like there. Right, I think it should have you higher, probably. Uh, that's fine. Somewhere like there. Spiritomb has grown on me a lot recently. Back when I was a kid, I used to think it was a legendary. Um, but I've thought it was really cool how rare it is a lot recently. And I think its shiny is amazing. One of the best. Probably my favorite shiny that Game Freak has ever put out. It's really cool. I really like this Pokemon. Yeah, we'll even go there. I don't think I like it better than Luxray, but Spiritomb definitely deserves a very high placement, and I want to actually use one for a team. Gibble, Gabite, and Garchomp. Gibble's pretty alright. Gabite's like a bit cooler, but also a bit awkward middle stage syndrome. I think that's fine. Garchomp, though, I mean, come on. It's so cool. It's really powerful, extremely cool. Cynthia's Garchomp is still one of the most menacing Pokemon in at least a main series story portion. It's crazy. Even with an ice type, you're not like guaranteed to counter it unless you get specifically like Ice Shard, Mamoswine, or Weavile. And even then, in games like BDSP, I don't think that's guaranteed to even take it down. Um, because of the yacht ship area and because it's EV trained. Yeah, it's an extremely menacing Pokemon, and it deserves its placement very high on this list. Munchlax is. I don't remember if there's another baby Pokemon that um. Well, except for Riolu, but Riolu doesn't really count in my mind as a baby Pokemon. But yeah, Munchlax is one of the few baby Pokemon I think are pretty good. Um, we'll go ahead and put it decently high here. I like it a lot. I think it has a lot of character. And then Riolu is even better because with Riolu comes Lucario, and just, oh boy, we really do have the all stars of any Pokemon playthrough up top here. Like I can't help it. There's a reason that they're at the top. But trust me, there will be plenty of Pokemon which are coming to join them soon. This is not going to be all it's an excellent. It's not just because it's oh every Pokemon has the starter, the Floatzel, the Garchomp, the Luxray, the Lucario, the Staraptor. No, there's going to be plenty more Pokemon. I already saw plenty down here that I'm going to rate highly. Like just trust me, all right. This list is as top-sided as I'm making it sound, at least in my opinion. Um, Hippopotas is pretty decently cute. Nothing that standout, all things considered, but it's pretty cute. Hippowdon is something I want to use more. I thought that Hippowdon was restricted um, to the tunnel after you caught a bunch of unknowns. I thought you had to catch a bunch of them and expand it further to get the hippopotas to spawn there. So now that I know that that's not how that works, or at least now that I think I know that's not how that works, I would love to actually try to catch a hippopotas there and use one in an actual playthrough. I had a ground type lock team that I was playing through with until I got to Route Gardenia. Um, and I wish I would have continued it because I would have loved to have actually used Hippowdon there because I really like Hippowdon. Scorpii is pretty surprisingly cute and detailed for a first stage Pokemon. Or I guess a basic Pokemon. I don't know which terminology is exactly correct. Um, it looks really solid, and Drapion is really cool too. This is another Pokemon that I've gotten a lot of appreciation for recently. That's a Pokemon that I want to use more, especially because of the only having one weakness thing. Like that's a really strong thing. I actually had one in a Soul Link randomizer Nuzlocke that I was doing with a friend, and Drapion was the one that was the thing that carried my team for so long. So it was the only really strong thing that I got that was tied to something that was strong that they had. So I got to appreciate Drapion a lot from that, and I want to use it in an actual proper playthrough at some point. Croagunk and Toxicroak are actually, I don't know if this is an unpopular opinion, they're actually a bit lower on my list than a lot of people would have them on theirs, I think. They're like fine, but I don't really care about them that much. They're just kind of whatever to me. Carnivine I like because of the anime, and that's really the only reason it's going anywhere indecent. The design isn't really anything all that special. I just really like James's Carnivine. Finneon and Luminion. The very definition of forgettable, but they've actually become slightly less forgettable because of how many people found them forgettable. Um, but still, not. There's a reason they were forgettable in the first place. Like they're just kind of neatly designed fish. Um, yeah, that's really all there is to it. They don't have a unique typing. They're not strong. They don't really do anything. The only really interesting thing about them is their colors and their designs. And really, it's only Luminion's design. Finneon is just a fish. Mantike, I think, is really cute. Definitely one of the cuter Pokemon in, well, Pokemon, really. Um, I think, I think that's a pretty good spot for it. Really, I think it's adorable. Snover is okay. Um, you can put it like I don't know there, maybe there. I think that works. Abomasnow is pretty cool as well, but not something that I've been particularly interested in using. Weavile is really sick. I think I'm gonna put that next on the two, but towards like the bottom. It's a Pokemon that I want to use, and maybe once I use it, it'll go higher. But as it stands, I think that's a pretty good spot for it under Roserade. Magneton's a Pokemon I really like. Um, I've always liked Magnemite and Magneton a surprisingly large amount. I don't really care a lot for that many of the object Pokemon. I think they get way too much hate, but usually I'm not that attached to them. I mean, compare Magnezone to like Bronzong. Like they're not really that far apart in terms of how they're designed, but I like Magnezone way more for some reason. I couldn't even really begin to tell you why. Um, that's I'll drop it down to the bottom. It should be at the bottom. I think even in my head I know that. I don't even know why I had it that I have to begin with, but I'm still keeping it an excellent because I still think it's a really good design. Licky Licky, bad. Licky Tongue did not need an evolution to begin with, and I don't know why we went there. Um, Rhyperior. I think this Pokemon gets a lot of hate that it doesn't deserve. I think it's a great design, personally. Now, sure, it's a bit awkward in some places and a bit bulky, so I'm not going to put it in excellent. But overall, I think it's a really slept on design, and I think it looks really cool, and I think it seems really strong. I want to use one someday, and I hope I get the chance to. Tangrowth is pretty decent. Nothing that special. Uh, that's probably a pretty alright spot for it. Yeah, I don't really care about it, but he's there. He's pretty interesting. Electivire and Magmortar. I guess those two kind of go together. Um, Electivire is an excellent design. It's not a Pokemon I think about a lot, but it does have a really cool design. I think Magmortar deserves to be placed right up there along with it. These are just two really cool Pokemon, which evolved from two similarly pretty cool Pokemon from Generation One. Some of the better ones from Generation One, in my opinion, especially Electabuzz. And yeah, these two Pokemon are excellent improvements to what was already there. I think they're both really sick. Togekiss is not a design that I'm particularly in love with, but I do still think it deserves to go way up there. It's a pretty simple but elegant design, and I like that it gets the fairy typing later. I think it deserves it, and as it stands, I think the Pokemon is cool. I like that it has its own identity with like being the Pokemon most associated with Serene Grace. I think it makes it for an interesting Pokemon and a pretty interesting design, um, considering what it came from, which didn't give it that much to go off of. Yanmega. Okay, this is a Pokemon I like a lot more than I think most people do. Um, I think I'll put it there. This is just a really sick design. It's really it's relatively simple, but I really like dragonflies in real life. I think they're pretty cool, and this is just a Pokemon version of dragonfly, and I think it works really well. It's got the vibrant colors, especially in the wings and the eyes and the spots, and that's contrasted with the relatively dark skin tones and like the legs and the spikes. I think it all comes together for a very cool package that I definitely want to use in a playthrough. Leafeon and Glaceon. Leafeon is my favorite evolution. I think it's elegant and sleek, and I like the sharpness of the design. I think it's really cool. Glaceon goes a bit lower. Um, I think I'll put it like down here personally. Um, really cool design, no pun intended. I like how it looks, but Leafeon is just the preference there in terms of design. If I could have any evolution, I would want this one. That being said, I love Eevee, and I hope that Pokemon makes me regret this decision later. I hope they have so many types to choose from with Eevee, and I hope that they introduce more because it'd be really cool. Gliscor is another Pokemon that other people like way more than me, but unlike with some other Pokemon like Toxicroak, this one is one that I've grown on a lot. Um, I'm gonna put it like here. It's pretty cool design. It's got some cool colors. It's got the gremlin energy that a Pokemon like Weavile has, but I think it does even better. Uh, it's got the nice sharp contrast to the dark colors and the cool uh, bat-like almost design. I think it looks really cool. It's got an interesting typing that I want to use in a playthrough for sure. Mammoth Swine is pretty sick. Um, do I put it in excellent? I think I'll put it in the bottom of excellent. I think it's a really cool design. There's not really even any real flaws with it. Um, doesn't have as much personal attachment to me as a lot of these other Pokemon on the list, but I think it's a really solid spot for it. Porygon Z, great design. Definitely goes somewhere up here. Um, it's a really good evolution added to that line, which I think that it needed. Porygon was really bad. Porygon 2 was alright, but nothing really great. And Porygon Z makes it an actually viable Pokemon, and the design looks sleek on top of that. So I really appreciate that. Gallade, I mean, all right, obviously it's going to be somewhere in excellent. Um, I think I'll go there. It's really cool. Has a pretty interesting typing with the fighting psychic. Um, it has a little bit of an awkward body shape, but I can ignore that. I used to think this was grass type because there was some trainer which had it that I fought a lot, or I fought wild ones a lot, or I had one. I don't remember exactly what the deal was. Um, but the fact that it had leaf blade made me think that it was a grass type when it is not. Be that as it may, uh, yeah, it's a pretty cool Pokemon. Permapass is bad. Is it my least favorite Gen 4 Pokemon? Probably. It's just really not good at all. It I don't know what they were trying to go for when they decided to make an evolution for Nose Pass. Uh, but yeah, it's just this was not it. I don't think there should have been one in the first place, but this was not it. Dusknoir is pretty sick, and it turns out to be spoilers, the main antagonist in Mystery Dungeon games. I think it was handled pretty well. Um, I wish it was better, but it's it by itself is a pretty sick design. So we'll give it the win where it deserves it. Frostlass is pretty cool. It's elegant. It's mysterious. It gets the job done. If maybe if in a different region, it would be my favorite ice type or my favorite ghost type. But there are already a few sick options on this one, so it cannot be either of those, unfortunately, here. The Rotom forms. I don't know why Rotom isn't legendary, but it should be. Uh, at least if a lot of these other Pokemon can be legendaries, and a lot of Pokemon from other regions can be legendaries. I don't really have a preference for the forms that much. So I think I'll mostly ignore them. Uh, and Rotom myself. Um, pretty alright design, but pretty cool concept overall. I think like here maybe. I like that it exists. I like that. I think it's pretty interesting and it looks cool. Um, but I think similar to Eevee, the appliance forms would all probably be lower than Rotom, just because the idea I think is probably cooler than any of these designs. It could be really just the concept. Yuxi, Mesprit, and Azelf. I like Yuxi the most because of Mystery Dungeon, but overall I'd put them all probably in great. As for where, um, I think it's more like there for Yoxi. Azoth is next, and Azoth can go right behind it. Mesprit will go a bit lower. My friend actually convinced me to get to catch Yoxi with the Master Ball when I was a kid because, well, I didn't know any better. Shinxudas are better as a first form. Um, but yeah, I did, and I used it. But as a kid, I also was really bad at catching other Pokemon because I was a child. I should have just used it on Giratina, but it is how it is. Dialga and Palkia. I like Dialga more, but not as much more as I think a lot of people. I think a lot of people have Dialga way above Palkia, which I get, but overall, I don't. Uh, I like Palkia a lot more than a lot of people. I think. We'll put it somewhere like there. I think. Still a decently sized difference, but I just like Palkia more than a lot of you. I think a lot of people have Palkia close to like down here. Heatran. Um, the face and a lot of parts of Heatran are just really weird to me compared to a lot of legendaries. I think that's probably pretty fine for it overall. It's still decently cool, but I don't. I feel like they could have cleaned the design up a bit. Regigigas is really sick. I wish that it was better. At this point, it probably could be better. I think they could get rid of slow start, and it would still be just fine. I don't think it'd be like this amazing broken Pokemon in the metagame, as long as it doesn't have an amazing ability or amazing moveset. I think they could. I think it'd be decently balanced. Like there are plenty of Pokemon who have been in metagames who have had base stat totals higher than Regigigas that I'm aware of. Is specifically Mega Rayquaza, which notably did get banned, but was still used for a while, I think. And even then, yeah, just Regigigas is cool, and it sucks that it's not good because with all the stats that it has, you would think that it'd be decent even with a slow start, but no. Nintendo just and Game Freak cannot just give this thing a break and give it anything good, and that makes me sad for it because it's pretty cool. Giratina. Yeah. So spoiler alert. This thing, specifically is it the altered form? I think it's the altered form. Giratina altered form. No, the altered form is this one. Um, Giratina, the origin form, is my favorite Pokemon of all time. And this was actually a pretty recent development. It was Infernape for the longest time. But then thought about it. I made myself really think about it the last time I did that Pokemon chart where you rank every Pokemon across like every generation and every type and whatever. I really thought about it between all the options for my favorite. I thought really long and hard about it, and I decided to like Giratina that a little bit more. Specifically, the origin form. The altered version is still kind of down here. It's not as cool to me. I like the more snake-like body, and how the wings kind of look more like arms here. I think it's more menacing like this. But yeah, Giratina is my favorite Pokemon of all time as of now. Cresselia is pretty cool and elegant. Yeah, I think we'll put it like somewhere up there. I don't really have that many thoughts on Cresselia. It's just kind of cool. Fion is. It's not bad. It just doesn't need to exist. Why is it here when there's Manaphy? Manaphy, who itself has a pretty cool design, all things considered. Like in terms of the cuter mythicals, like it does look cute. Like, I just don't know why Fion needed to be a thing. Darkrai, that makes sense. Darkrai on the other hand is my favorite mythical. Uh, to go off the negative note that is Fion. Uh, Darkrai is sick. I think it looks awesome, and I don't know if I necessarily want to use it someday. Maybe. I don't know where I want Darkrai to go. Maybe like up here. I think it's probably fine. It's somewhere, between the Pokemon like Yanmega and Dialga. It's somewhere in that line. It's a bit hard to rank once the list gets bigger because I like to put things in exact spots, but sometimes I can't really think of any at that moment. So then it turns into that. Shaman, the Hedgehog form is cute. Definitely one of the cuter Pokemon, and the other form, I don't even know what it is in this form, is a bit cooler but a bit less cute. I think I'd put it probably like down here, I think. Arceus, the final Pokemon, the god of all Pokemon, possibly the first Pokemon that we really don't know because there's the Mew stuff, which is being the ancestor, and there's Bulbasaur and Rhydon. Arceus, I think it has a pretty good design. Um, Pretty great design actually. It's sick. I ignore whatever is going on with the weird fence that the goat has or the deer or whatever has trapped itself in. Ignore that part. The design itself is sick. It's just the weird gold thing which makes it look kind of awkward sometimes. Um, but other than that, it is a really good design, worthy of the god of Pokemon. And yeah, that's it. Um, at the end of this all, I'll just go ahead and put a teaser for the Pokemon randomizer Nuzlocke that I'm going to be doing. Just going to mention once again that that's happening. I'm very much looking forward to doing it, and I hope you all are looking forward to watching it. I'm not going to give you all any more details yet, because I still have not figured everything out about how I want things. Uh, but I am very much looking forward to doing it, and it'll be after Hi-Fi Rush, probably. I don't know. I might do another Lord of the Rings thing before that. It'll be sometime soon. All right, things should hopefully be slowing down a little bit, especially after a few weeks. Once my finals are done, things should slow down quite a bit. But should definitely be within the next week, and hopefully it will be less than that. All right. Thank you all so much for watching, and I will see you in the next stream. See ya.